A bad credit score will cost you over $70,000 in extra interest payments on a mortgage, and that's if you even get approved for a loan. But what is a good credit score, and how does that loan officer decide whether to greet you with a smile or slam the door in your face? In this video, I'll not only show you the difference between a good FICO score and bad credit, I'll show you the average credit score by age and the score that you need to buy a house or a car. I'll then reveal 3 credit score hacks that I guarantee you haven't seen before and that will increase your FICO fast. We're talking FICO scores and credit today on Let's Talk Money.
Beat debt.
Make money.
Make your money work for you.
Creating the financial future you deserve.
Let's talk money.
Joseph Hogue with the Let's Talk Money channel here on YouTube. I want to send a special shout out to everyone in our community. Thank you for taking a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. So I just saw a report out of the New York Fed that as many as 60 million Americans are locked out of the financial system, unable to get the access to credit or the money they need. Now that's twice as many people as the Fed previously thought, over 26 million more people, and it all has to do with the banks and their requirements around credit scores. So what I want to do with this video is answer one of the most common questions I get here on the channel. What's a good FICO score and how do you get one? We'll start by looking at that FICO credit score, what makes it good or bad, and then I'm going to show you the average credit score by age to see where you stand. We'll dig into those numbers to see what kind of a credit score you need to buy a house or a car, and then I'm going to reveal 3 hacks to boost your score as much as 100 points fast. Now your credit score is just a number based on everything in your credit report. The FICO company looks at each of your credit reports from TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, and then it scores you based on things like payment history, how much debt you owe, and the bad marks like late payments, defaults, and bankruptcies. That FICO score ranges from 300 to 850, with about half the population around that 700 FICO or higher. Here I've taken data from FICO to show the percentages of Americans with credit score ranges, both for 2015 and the most recent release 2017. Now you see about 55% have a score of 700 or above, with 1 in 4 Americans in the middle here with that score between 600 to 700 FICO. What really shocked me though is that 20% or 1 in 5 Americans with a credit score of 600 or less. Now while you see the credit scores rising from 2015 to 2017 for these people with higher scores, those with lower scores are actually seeing their credit score fall. Now, I know a lot of you are probably sitting there saying, so what? I don't plan on borrowing any money, so I don't need a credit score if I don't need a loan. Please take this seriously because you never know when you're going to need an emergency cash or a loan. The average out-of-pocket for a hospital stay is over $1,100 according to TransUnion, and a new car transmission is going to set you back $8,000. After destroying my credit score in 2009, I couldn't get a loan to save my life, and it pushed me into those cash advances and payday loans costing hundreds of dollars in fees. It didn't end well, and I want you to know what I didn't about your credit score. So what I want to do here, to get a feel for where everyone is in the community, I want to put a question out there. What were the times or instances when you needed credit? When did you use your credit cards? Or what has been the times that you've used a mortgage, student loans, or some other type of loan? If you've never used credit, tell me that and why as well. So scroll down and share your story in the comments below. But what is a good credit score? What's the score that's going to get you the money you need without those double-digit interest rates that are just going to break your budget? The rule of thumb, of course, is that any score over 670 FICO is good, even though rates really don't start going down much until you get that score of 720 or higher. Now, anything below 600 FICO is getting bad, and we saw how people with that bad credit are getting shut out, seeing their score fall over the last few years. Now, there's actually a reason for the 670 FICO cutoff for what's considered to be good credit score. Now that's the score you need for your loan to qualify for federal guarantees and some of these other programs. Now most people don't understand, but banks really aren't in the business of holding your loan. Banks are in the business of making loans. So what they'll do is they'll usually sell their loans to investors for the cash to make more loans. Now being able to sell those loans is a lot easier if that loan qualifies for some of these federal programs or guarantees. So banks don't want to make those loans with a credit score under 670 FICO. But that means nearly 4 in 10 people are shut out of the financial system with that credit score below that prime lending cutoff. And worse still is the 1 in 5 people in that bad credit score range where you can't even look at a loan for less than 30% interest. And bad credit isn't always your fault. Now this graphic shows the average credit score by age, and because a lot of your credit score revolves around things like credit history and that account age, millennials are just getting screwed here. The average FICO score is around 630 for people under 29 years old. That's well into that bad credit range where you're locked out of the system and way below the average 688 FICO for all Americans. Now you know what's considered good credit and bad, but what kind of a credit score do you really need for some of life's major decisions? What credit score do you need to buy a house or buy a car? TransUnion ran the numbers for different credit scores on a 30-year mortgage for $200,000, found a cutoff of right around 620 FICO for loans. Now that's not all though. It's not just that you're going to have trouble getting a loan with a credit score under 620, but the extra cost you'll pay if you even get that loan. That 620 credit score means you'll pay a rate of about 5.75%, more than 1.5% higher than someone with a FICO of 760 or higher. You'd also be paying almost $200 more a month and nearly $70,000 more in interest over the life of that loan. It gets even worse for car loans. The rate on a loan for a used car averages almost 20% if your credit score is below 500 FICO. That's 5 times the rate someone pays with good credit and could mean the difference between paying off your car and getting it repossessed. Now that we know what a good credit score looks like and what the score is that you need, the question is, how do you increase your credit score? How do you save that $70,000 on your mortgage by getting good credit? So here I want to share 3 tricks that I guarantee you have never heard. We've all heard that you can get bad marks knocked off of your credit report and that the limit increase will increase your score. In fact, I'm going to link to a video in the description below with 5 credit tricks that I've used to increase my score from 560 in 2009 to an 805 FICO where it is today. These 3 credit score tips are different though. I've never heard of them until a few months ago, and I was shocked at how fast they actually worked. Our first credit score hack here is getting missing accounts added to your credit reports. Now, most people know that you can write the credit bureaus to get things removed from your credit report that shouldn't be there. This is usually things like late payments or bad marks hurting your score. But what about the good stuff that just isn't showing up on your reports? The bills that you pay every single month that aren't on your credit reports and aren't helping your score. Now, creditors don't have to report your account to the credit bureaus, so sometimes they don't. Most often, this includes things like your utility bill, cable TV, and your rent. Your rent's a really common one here. Now, since payment history is as much as 35% of your credit score, getting these accounts and those regular on-time payments added to your report could be a huge boost to your credit. Better still, the change is almost immediate and it can help make your report look better even if it has a few of those bad marks. So what you want to do here is contact all the people that you're paying monthly that don't report on your credit. If you can get them to just start reporting, it's an instant win. Now, the phone and the cable company usually aren't going to report, but you can get your landlord to start reporting rent through sites like Pay Your Rent and Rental Karma, which even allows you to add past rental history. Next here to increase your credit score is to pay your card balance before it's reported to the credit bureaus. Now, even if you're paying your credit card balance in full each month, it might be getting reported that you have a balance on your credit report. Now, this is because those card companies don't always report their balances after the due date for the payment. In fact, most card companies report balances to the credit bureaus at the end of the month. This is after the monthly statement is closed for that month, but before your payment is due. For example, Barclays closes my statement on the 24th of the month, but the payment isn't due until the 13th of the next month. Now, I pay it down to 0 every month before it's due, but I was surprised when I looked at my credit report and it showed that I was carrying a balance on my cards. The problem was that Barclays reports balances to the credit bureaus at the end of the month, after my statement closes, but then again before that payment due date. So even though I was paying my card off, it was still showing a balance on my credit report every single month and hurting my credit score. This one's an easy fix though. Just call your credit card company, call the customer support line and find out what date they report to the credit bureaus. You can usually get your payment due date switched to before this date, or just make it a point to pay off your card before they report. Another credit hack you can try here is to pay off your highest balance cards first. Now, I am one of the biggest proponents of the debt snowball method. That's where you rank your debts by the amount and then make extra payments to the smaller ones first. It's a great motivator because you get those smaller bills dropping off your list fast. So that motivates you to keep saving and keep paying. But the problem is it's not the best for your credit or for your checkbook. Now, those bigger debts, especially the credit card balances, those are going to hurt your FICO more because of what's called the credit utilization ratio. Now, this is the amount you owe on each of your debts versus that credit limit. So if you owe $8,000 on a card with a $10,000 limit, your utilization ratio is 80%, which is really high. Now, a higher utilization ratio, so owing up to the limits on your cards or other revolving debt, that's a big sign of being overextended and a big warning for your creditors. paying down those bigger card balances first is going to lower your utilization ratio and might save you money as well if those higher balances happen to be that higher rate debt. Click on the video to the right to see how I increased my credit score after financial disaster. The 5 credit score hacks I used to boost my score to over 800 FICO. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.